Behind every closed door, there's a truth we're not ready to face. Tonight, Sophia stands at one, hesitating, knowing Ethan Cole is waiting on the other side. One choice, one breath, and everything could change. Welcome back to The Velvet Story. In chapters 18 through 20 of The Best Man's Vows, the tension deepens. A confession behind closed doors that could shatter Sophia's defenses. A high-stakes showdown with her father, where love and reputation collide. And a midnight dance that may just rewrite the rhythm of their hearts. If you're ready for passion, scandal, and a love story that refuses to play by the rules, stay with me. This is The Best Man's Vows. Chapter 18. Behind Closed Doors. Sophia's hand hovered over the doorknob, pulse wild. She could hear him breathing on the other side, steady, patient, like he had all night to wait. She hated how much she wanted to open it, hated how much she already knew she would. With a frustrated exhale, she turned the knob. Ethan Cole stood there, not in his usual polished armor, but in rolled-up sleeves and loosened tie. His hair was slightly mussed, his eyes tired but alert. For the first time, he didn't look like a billionaire golden boy. He looked real. "May I?" he asked softly. Sophia stepped aside and he entered with that quiet confidence that never seemed to falter. He glanced at her phone abandoned on the desk, the glowing headlines still screaming their existence, then back at her. "You've seen it all, I assume." Her laugh was brittle, only the front pages of every outlet in Manhattan. He nodded, as if he expected nothing less. Then he leaned against the wall, folding his arms, not imposing but grounding. And, she echoed, incredulous. "We're being ripped apart in the press. My father is furious. Clients will think I'm—" She broke off, biting down on the words. "Unprofessional," Ethan supplied gently. Her throat tightened. Yes, and careless, and exactly what Juliet and every rival has always accused me of being, a spoiled heiress plain dressed up in business. Silence stretched. She hated the way her voice cracked, hated showing that much vulnerability. But Ethan didn't gloat, didn't argue. He just looked at her with the quiet steadiness that both infuriated and soothed her. "Sophia," he said finally, "you've built one of the most respected firms in the city from the ground up. No headline can erase that." She gave a bitter smile. "Tell that to the clients canceling tomorrow." "Then I will," he said simply. She blinked. "What?" "I'll call them, set up meetings, put my reputation on the line alongside yours. If they need proof you're not a scandal, they'll get it. From me." She stared at him, floored. "Why would you—" "Because I'm not playing," Ethan cut in, his voice firm now. "Not with you." The air shifted. Sophia's chest squeezed painfully. He stepped closer, but carefully, close enough she could feel the heat radiating from him, but not trapping her. His voice softened again, carrying weight, without pressure. "Do you want to know why the headlines don't bother me? Why Juliet doesn't bother me?" Sophia swallowed. "Why?" "Because I know what I want, and I don't let noise distract me from it. That's why my businesses are where they are. That's why my name isn't just on hotel doors. It's on contracts, boards, partnerships. I built my life around clarity, focus. And right now," he paused, letting the silence stretch until her pulse roared in her ears. "My focus is you." Sophia's knees nearly buckled. She wanted to scoff, to deflect, but she couldn't. Not when he said it like that. Not when his words carried the weight of someone who didn't make declarations lightly. "Ethan," she whispered, but couldn't form the rest. He lifted his hand, slow, deliberate, giving her time to stop him. When she didn't, he brushed a stray strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was feather-light, reverent. "Do you believe me?" he asked. Her breath caught. No one had ever asked her that before. Not her father, not her rivals, not even the men she had dated in passing. And the terrifying truth was, yes, she did. But saying it out loud felt like stepping off a ledge. She started, then faltered. Ethan smiled faintly, lowering his hand. "It's all right. I can wait." The patience in his tone unraveled something deep inside her. He wasn't demanding, wasn't pushing. He was simply there, steady as stone, willing to let her come to him. For a long moment, they just stood there, city lights spilling through the window, paparazzi flashes far below. But in here, quiet, safe. Sophia exhaled slowly. "You really are impossible." "Correction," he murmured, echoing his rooftop words with that infuriatingly gentle grin. "I'm consistent." And for the first time since the headlines broke, Sophia laughed. It wasn't much, but it was enough to remind her she wasn't in this alone. Chapter 19. The Family Showdown. The Laurent townhouse was carved from another era. Ivory stone, wrought iron balconies, windows tall enough to frame entire arguments. Inside, the dining room gleamed with antique chandeliers and polished mahogany, the air already stiff with expectation. Sophia sat at the long table, spine straight, jaw locked. Across from her, her father nursed a glass of scotch like it was ammunition. "You've made the papers again," he began without preamble. His voice was smooth, but the warning beneath it was unmistakable. Sophia didn't flinch. "I noticed. Headlines don't build legacies," he said. "They destroy them. And what you've built, your firm, hangs by a thread you're fraying yourself." Before Sophia could answer, the butler entered with a quiet announcement. "Mr. Ethan Cole, sir." Her father's brows snapped together. Sophia's pulse kicked. Ethan stepped into the room as if he belonged there. Calm, crisp suit, tie perfectly in place this time. He carried no apology in his stride, but no arrogance either. Just presence. "Mr. Laurent," Ethan greeted with a nod, stopping at the head of the table. "Thank you for seeing me." Her father's eyes narrowed. "I didn't extend an invitation." "I know," Ethan replied smoothly, taking the empty seat beside Sophia as if it were his. She hadn't, technically, but her silence now was as good as consent. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "You're bold," her father said. "Practical," Ethan corrected. "You're concerned about headlines, so am I. It made sense to speak face to face." Her father leaned back, studying him like a chess opponent. "You expect me to believe you care about my daughter's reputation?" "No," Ethan said evenly. "I expect you to believe I care about your daughter." The words landed like a stone in water, rippling through the tension. Sophia's breath caught. Her father's jaw tightened. "Care," he repeated, "or pursue? Because men like you—" "Men like me," Ethan echoed, one brow lifting, but not unkindly. "Billionaires, charming, headlines at their heels. You treat reputations like poker chips and women like pastimes." Sophia flinched. Ethan didn't. Instead, he leaned forward slightly, his voice calm, but steeled with conviction. "With respect, sir, I don't gamble with the things I want long-term, not in business and not in life. I didn't build my company on risk. I built it on focus, strategy, patience. That's what Sophia deserves too, and that's what she'll get from me." The room went silent. Sophia's heart pounded so loudly she was sure it echoed. Her father studied Ethan for a long moment, eyes narrowing as though searching for cracks. Ethan didn't look away. Finally, he swirled the scotch in his glass, lips pressing into a thin line. "You know, Ethan," he said slowly, "you remind me of myself at your age." Sophia snapped toward him. "What?" But Ethan only offered a faint smile. "I'll take that as a compliment." "Don't," her father said dryly. "It means you'll have to work twice as hard to prove you're not just words." "I already am," Ethan replied simply. Sophia exhaled, her rigid posture easing for the first time that night. Dinner passed with less fire than she expected. Still tense, but not scorched earth. Ethan answered her father's pointed questions with unflappable ease, spoke of his hotels and partnerships with quiet authority, and never once boasted. He didn't need to. When they finally left, Sophia stepped into the cool night air, feeling as though she had been holding her breath for hours. She turned to Ethan, searching his face. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," he said, sliding his hands into his pockets. Then he leaned closer, his voice lowering just for her. "But you deserved someone who would." Something in her chest cracked open. She didn't say thank you. She couldn't. Words weren't enough. Instead, she walked beside him down the quiet street, the silence between them full of things unspoken, things that felt dangerously close to becoming undeniable. Chapter 20. A Dance in the Dark. The grand chandelier of the ballroom glimmered overhead, casting fractured reflections across the polished floor. Music floated through the air, a soft jazz number, slow and languid, completely different from the chaotic rehearsals that had plagued Sophia all week. Sophia lingered near the edge of the dance floor, her heels clicking softly. She felt unsteady, though she couldn't say if it was from exhaustion, relief, or Ethan. Of course it was Ethan. Taking a quiet moment before the storm, his voice was low, teasing but not mocking. She didn't have to look up to know he was beside her. "I could say that," she admitted, forcing her shoulders to relax. "I need a few minutes where no one demands a decision or expects me to smile perfectly." "Ah, I thought that was my job," he quipped, glancing at her with a crooked grin. Sophia gave him a pointed look, though she couldn't stop the twitch of amusement tugging at her lips. "You aren't helping, Cole." "Maybe I am," he said softly, stepping closer. The energy between them shifted. Lighter, warmer, intimate. Her pulse hitched. "You make it sound so easy." "Easy?" He shook his head, smiling. "Not at all, but worth it." For a moment, neither spoke. He extended a hand, casual yet deliberate. "May I?" Sophia hesitated. Then, with a small nod, placed her hand in his. And just like that, the world outside, the paparazzi, the rivals, her father's judgment, slipped away. They began to move across the dance floor. Tentative, at first, her heels made soft taps against the marble. His steps were confident, measured. She had always controlled everything, every move, every plan, but here, she let herself follow him. "Not bad," he murmured, leaning close enough that she could feel the warmth of his body, but far enough to respect the space she so fiercely guarded. "I could say the same," she said teasingly, but her voice wavered, betraying her. Ethan chuckled softly. "You know, I've been thinking about last night, and about you." Her stomach flipped. "Thinking?" "Yes," he said, holding her gaze. "About how fiercely brilliant you are, how terrifying and inspiring you can be at the same time, and how impossible it is to ignore you." Her breath hitched. She wanted to retreat, to put distance between them, but her hand stayed in his. Her body wanted to lean in. "You make it sound like I'm dangerous," she whispered. He tilted his head, eyes glinting in the chandelier light. "You are, and I like it." The music swelled, filling the room, and for a moment, all the laughter, the chaos, the whispers faded. There was only him, only her, only the soft glide of their steps across the floor. A beat passed, 2 beats, and then he leaned just slightly closer, enough that she could feel his breath warm and steady against her skin. "I don't want to rush anything," he said quietly, his lips brushing near her ear. Her chest tightened. "Cole?" "Shh," he murmured, guiding her gently. "Just one dance. Let's not think about the world for a minute." And so they danced, slow and sure, moving with a rhythm that didn't need words. Sophia felt something crack open inside her, a guardedness she hadn't realized had been so heavy, now lifting just a little. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but it was more intimate than anything they'd shared before. A promise, a quiet acknowledgement of what was building between them. For the first time that evening, Sophia smiled freely, laughing softly into the music. And Ethan, he grinned, confident but respectful, knowing this was their moment, and he would wait for the rest. One door opened, one father confronted, and one dance that changes everything. But with every step closer, the risks grow higher. Because in love and legacy, someone always pays the price. Thank you for listening to The Velvet Story and tonight's chapters of The Best Man's Vows. If you felt the pull of Sophia and Ethan's journey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice is part of this story too. And trust me, you'll want to hear what comes next. The stakes are only getting higher.